curious to note what No Cloud will do here.
The match is ready. Let's go.
So starting off, Insomniac recently kind of hit everybody's brains as the played out in the Hometown Heroes event for Philly. Actually made the final 6 for that. Also played on Nucleus, which featured a ton of players that we've already kind of seen and highlighted already. Guys like Kraken, Lacken, Chain, stuff like that. Where's Baldo was another roster he was a part of. Dogman, probably made his name the most, I would say, through Kingarna. So very, very talented lineup that they got for themselves support-wise for No Clout to start generating themselves some clout. And I think they gained some clout by picking these two up.
And Hobbs has been a big threat on the Widowmaker in the past, especially on maps like Junkertown. So I'm curious to see if he can keep up a good performance, because on the other side, now having fire on the Ana will look to contest for now any potential dive coming through. So far setting up on high ground, both teams looking to contest as the payload will be moving on for Car Wash. And with Hobbs now looking towards the server room, you might get a few angles here to potentially get a few early picks, but it's gonna be iShiny getting Dogman first.
And after their performance yesterday, you have to expect that the coaches for Envision really hammered away on the rest of their team to make sure that they had a much better performance in the playoffs, because really what we saw yesterday was not what Envision is capable of. And as we look now, it seems as though that is the case, and if it is, it seems like it might have worked in a big way, because that was a great first play from Envision. A great hold by their supports as well. Fire and Crimzo staying very safe in the back, making sure Shiny is held alive as well, but he goes down quickly there.
Sugar Free gets that kill. Now Infraside is going to spot out the opposition. Crimzo will be falling pretty low, but now out of the said line of sight means that he will be safe for a while. But most of this team pushed away in this Envision means that they cannot contest as of yet. McGravy though finally coming in, but the blade will be out. Hobbs though claims the first kill, and Sugar Free with said blade is going to find Jaru now at 2 for nil. Self-destruct will be popped. Nano boost on top of iShiny. Buds somehow finding Dogman there in the end, but kill still favoring the side of No Cloud, looking to close this one out. Self-destruct even claiming 1 kill onto McGravy there in the end. And even though the Primal Rage will be out, in the end it will eventually mean No Cloud gets this first point.
And Buds will die off after they have already secured the objective, so no time wasted there because they have to wait for the doors to open up anyways. And now in the hangar phase, Envision are going to look to make some adjustments to try to make a better stop here. Hobbs still on that Widow, so Jaru is answering himself with a Genji pick to probably apply some pressure to that. They might go pretty aggressive towards that Widowmaker, but it's Hobbs making the first kill.
Still popping off on that Widowmaker. Sugar Free will claim another kill this time around on to the Winston. And iShiny going down means that McGravy will soon follow. And just like that, one more team fight win on the board here for No Cloud. Definitely looking like a stronger team overall now with this new support lineup.
Crimzo holding on to that Transcendence. A lot of distance, a lot of ground being covered here by No Clout, aka some Clout now, as they made their changes to the roster. But we'll see how they can engage here. Buds threw out a pulse bomb. It's not going to find anything though. And iShiny trying to create some space, trying to push them off of the point. Barrier goes down, so they're forced to jump away from it for now. And this is now the time for the Transcendence to come out. McGravy is alive somehow, but the space was too far. iShiny just a little bit too far away from Crimzo to be able to stay alive. They're still looking like they're holding out, but it's Hypnot coming back into the fight now. And if Sugar Free follows up with the blade, they could take it right here.
Especially with the help of that sound barrier. Self-destruct will be used on the other side. However, Jaru managing to find Sugar Free right there was pretty big as the blade got shut down, and he will have a blade of his own now looking for more kills. He does manage to get 1 kill out to Hobbs, but overall it's still not a brawl. We'll see Dogman coming in with the Transcendence, look to get that second objective. 1 meter and 39.39 away. Will be Jaru still claiming the kill off of that ultimate, timing out. Soundbear used defensively, and finally Envision Esports look to retaliate and get to stabilize right before that second objective.
I mean, if you're Envision, you didn't want to have to use sound barrier there. You really would have wanted it for the next push. That would have been ideal. especially as they're going to have Infrasight, so they're going to be able to, you know, basically control this next fight completely because they have all of the information, whereas obviously Envision has none so far. And we'll see some high ground being held down by No Clout, and line of sight denied for the time being by Envision, and they still have Crimzo's support ult. They still have that Transcendence to play with, and Hypnot taking a lot of initial pressure as iShiny in the back is popping off, throwing everybody around, making space for Jaru to come forward with Buzz and apply some of that pressure. They're catching some kills for themselves now and creating more space after the sound barrier was forced out in the last fight.
Well, that could have been really dangerous for Crimzo, as Hobbs was still looking for an angle. However, not really paying off means that they will have 1 minute and 16 seconds to secure the second objective. And considering the fact that the Transcendence is at the ready, not quite sure if Hobbs taking to the Widowmaker is going to be big enough, as the pulse bomb was not going to connect. Dodges in time, and now looking to get that one kill to potentially open up a good team fight. It will not be the case. No Cloud still struggling to find any openings here, as they will look to finally get one onto Jaru. 6v5 is in order. Transcendence already forced out as Insomniac getting another kill of his own. Hawk will get a resuit, even a kill somehow onto Fire. Buds though still looking to answer with one kill of his own onto Dogman, so it's not over just yet, as Sugarfree discorded will have his blade as well. But considering the fact that on the defensive side they are good to go, it is still going to be an all-out battle on the point. Soundbeard now finally coming through, looking to close it out. Sugarfree gets the first kill, looking for more, gets the second one. Both supports out of the question for Envision, and this might just be finally it here for Envision. They will fall one by one, and No Cloud throughout that prolonged team fight will be getting the objective.
Buds had to find the kill onto Insomniac there before he pulled the sound barrier out. He had him just pinned into the staircase. If he would have been pulling that out there, he wouldn't have got anybody with it. Should have found that kill, but he just wasn't able to secure it. He hasn't been very aggressive going for blink melees, and we will see Envision with the massive advantage in ultimates, not having to use any right now. Jar going to come through. iShiny, Buds, McGravy just being very aggressive. They're going to be able to delay that. Only a minute on the clock now, but just a couple of things that still kind of need to be shored up from Envision to be able to contend with Fusion University like they did in the Beat Invitational.
And so far, it's not looking too hot for No Cloud, as will be only the Transcendence available and nothing else really coming up in the near future outside of that self-destruct for Hawk. And no picks achieved there with that dive means that Dogman is going to be under a lot of pressure. Forced to use the Transcendence maybe a little too early, and this will prompt Jar to potentially use his blade to close this one out. Sound barrier used on top. He doesn't quite find it. He does get the kill, never mind. In the end, onto Insomniac. Crimzo claims one of his own, and Envision surging forward will find the kills they need, and with 18 seconds left on the clock, a lot of ultimates still available, especially that Transcendence for Crimzo. Things are looking dire for No Cloud.
Hanging on now, 7 seconds remain. This is going to be a desperate attempt, banking on Sugarfree to get a massive flayed, and then they don't even make it to the point!
Oh no, doesn't quite get in on time, and unfortunate for No Cloud, that is going to be it for their offensive round. Of course, it's not over just yet. We've seen teams get really close to holding off onto that first point. Can happen. It's definitely still winnable here for No Cloud, but you gotta be feeling bad after that one.
And now I'm kind of wondering what we're going to be seeing out of Dogman and Insomniac, because a lot of times in this type of scenario, at least for, that first point hold defensive style where you oftentimes hold up top, playing with a soldier, which is what Sugarfree likes to play in these kind of situations, you would often see a Zenyatta and an Ana. But even that same thing that we saw with Little Midas and everything, Insomniac is basically the same thing, where while Dogman can play Ana and he can play the Zenyatta, you'll often see Insomniac playing, Mercy and Lucio. That's not to say that he doesn't have other things in his pocket. It's just that's often what he will be most comfortable with. So they're going to play with the Lucio, which means that we're going to see likely a different style because they have to play that way given the fact that they have that Lucio. So they need to try to take advantage of the fact that they have that speed to try to engage with control pacing, control the area a little bit better with their front line, which will then create space for Dogman and Sugar Free. It won't as much be just the tanks trying to make the space so that, you know, the backline can do most of the work. It's very much the other way around because of the fact that they have the Lucio. So a little bit more of that frontline pressure as we're seeing Envision on the other side of things playing what is a full dive. I imagine Fire will make a swap after checking this hallway here, and that is going to be the case. Going over to the Lucio here.
And already, we'll be curious to note what the setup is going to be on both sides. Triggerfee will be lying in wait with the Soldier looking to counter dive with the rest of his team onto this lineup of Envision now going towards the car wash. We'll have the payload moving on forward. Not a very forward defensive hold here out of No Cloud, looking to play this one safe, but Crimson already picking up a kill onto Dogman. It's going to potentially enable Envision to capitalize off of it. Looking for more. Insomniac is going to be able to stay alive, but it will be Jar going out in the end. Hypnot being on top of that one. iShiny finds another though, and as a result, it will still be Envision winning it out ever so slightly.
Have to be careful about making trades like this, especially as Hypnot is taken down low. He could easily get jumped on as iShiny is there. They will secure the kill. He'll get slept and he'll get grenaded, but still creating that space as he pushes them back. McGravy will be there with the defense matrix to help him out, and Envision definitely looking a lot better than how they did versus Renegades, but we have to remember their payload is usually what looks the best, and then they fall flat after that. Now they have to just continue this forward, not just on this map, but on the maps to come.
And now that they do have quite a few ultimates building up for themselves, we'll be curious to see whether or not they're gonna look for that pulse bomb. Is gonna be eaten up though by Hawk, and as a result, they're gonna search forward, look to still create some space off of this defensive hold, but iShiny still gets the kill in the end. Pulse bomb on the other side does get a kill. This time around onto Crimzo, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. A big one at that as the support is gonna be weaker on the other side, and Sugarfree claims another kill, and with the help of Hawk, it will be overall No Cloud potentially finally getting a good stabilizing teamfight win.
Envision will come away from this though, keeping McGravy alive. Some healing should be sent over to Fire. If he can get over to McGravy, give him a little bit of that healing so that they can have that sound barrier for the next fight. And that is exactly going to be the case as Fire is now up at full. He has that completely done up as McGravy gets that final bit of healing, and they're going to look to dive up top. But they need to bring the fight back to the ground quickly so that Crimzo can hold onto the Transcendence, but it's forced to pop out early.
This could be very bad for them, as on the other side, Hobbs will be getting close to that pulse bomb. Good bionade by shut down these tanks, but it is going to be Jaru going down. Crimzo falls too, as Sugarfreeze just has an easy time uncontested on that high ground. Make sure that does happen. iShiny will fall in the end. Fire McGravy going for the reset. And once more, a good defensive hold coming out of this side of No Cloud. And more importantly, you're going to be looking to build up a lot of resources for that too.
This high ground hold, what we need to see, or what we needed to see rather, in that particular situation was Envision going quickly with a speed boost right underneath the ship, push the payload, force them down off of the high ground, and then play around Crimzo's Transcendence. But now they're going to force the push up top as Crimzo doesn't have the Transcendence to play with, so now they just need to knock everybody off that they can, and then now try to take the fight on the floor where Crimzo can get a little bit more work done. And it's McGravy constantly under pressure, losing his mech here to start things off.
And we will see the nano boost onto Hypnot, who's still alive, does have the Primal Rage if need be. Self-destruct will be used. Can he find the kill? Sound barrier going out. Hawk does get one onto iShiny, and as a result, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but a lot of ultimates being used on the defensive side means that Jaru could have a big opening for a blade, but as the kills are still favoring the defense, here for No Cloud, Jaru will get one. He will get a second. Can he get more? Looking for that third with the D-suit. Gets it in the end, and with said Dragon Blade, this could be what Envision needed to get this next point. Now Transcendence coming out of Crimzo just to secure it as well. Jaru cleaning up house, and they get it in the end with a very patient blade.
Actually, some of the better Genji play that we've seen so far, certainly in the playoffs, but even I would say in NA. I mean, that was just subtly so well articulated by Envision, especially from Jaru, where, you know, he was just so elusive when he pulled that blade out. They initially put a lot of pressure on him. He put out the deflect, but only for a moment, just to force them to lay their guard down, and then he just went with another dash to go ahead and get aggressive again. Dogman with a nice right click will take down Fire to start the fight off, as McGravy is on a Widow himself, but will not find anything for the time being.
As Hobbs did make the stall forward to the Widowmaker too, looking to retaliate, gets one kill onto Jar, but overall it's going to be Envision winning out. Nobody on the point. Hobbs will desperately try to go back in, but it's not going to matter. McGravy even popping off on that Widowmaker means that Envision will claim this first win, but can they keep it up? This is going to be the real deal here on Assault. Coming up next, it will be Hanamura, so stay tuned. After this short commercial break, we'll be resuming.
Envision Esports yet again proving that escort maps are their type of maps, so to say. I was very impressed with iShiny. He was doing great for his team, making the space for Jaru and Bats, and Jaru was also looking amazing on Genji.
Amazing to say the least. That performance was awesome to see, and overall it was Envision once again proving why they're so dominant on these hybrid or escort maps, and now this is going to be their real test with the assault maps. They've seen a lot of mixed results in the past, to say the least, but no, Clout, on the other hand, did look better overall compared to their group stage performance.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. When the game started, I thought they would go all the way till the end, basically steamroll Envision, but all of a sudden, Envision started playing good on the second point, and they just stopped their push.
And even though No Cloud did have a few good holds on their second point themselves, it was still not quite enough. A lot of time was available for Envision to really create enough space. And again, with a performance like that from Jaru, definitely made it possible.
Now next up is Hanamura. If you were in the No Cloud shoes, so to say, and you know that Envision isn't playing that well on the assault maps, how would you approach this map?
We'll look to what their main faults were in those previous matches that they did play throughout the tournament. Just look back at the VODs and acknowledge what their biggest issue seems to be. Overall, I gotta say it's a mixed thing. It's not just one outlier that is their biggest issue overall when it comes to the assault maps. And it's gonna come down to potentially compositions. Being Hanamura, we've seen a lot of different options, especially when it comes to that first point defense. So it's gonna come down to the opening here potentially.
Match is ready. Hurix and Brunch, take it away.
So starting things off, they're going to go for that Genji Tracer combo between Jaru and Buds. And Jaru being on the Genji here to start things off. We'll see them playing the dive on defense. We saw this pretty much throughout NA, I would say. You know, obviously EU favoring the tanks more often than not, whereas NA plays a lot more dive. And as we see No Clout bringing in Dogman and Insomniac, you have to imagine that that's going to likely continue, although Dogman can play the Mora, so they can swap things up. Although Voil, the young prodigy for No Clout, with an opportunity to gain some clout here.
Will be on the Genji, so we've seen in the past. Potential on the Pharah, even on first point, Hanamura will be sticking to that one for now, as Dogman's gonna be the first one to fall. Bud's already claiming that first blood. iShiny diving in a little too deep though, will be punished by the opposition, but in the meantime, Buds claims another kill, and that should be enough time bought here for Envision to make sure that they regroup and keep the defensive strong.
Shiny can make it back pretty quick, but certainly not as fast as the opposition. Luckily, Buds buys him the time that he needs, taking Sugar Free out of the equation. Tracer can get back too, but again, it was just about getting that extra little bit of time for Envision to get their tank back into play. Discord needs to go out now to try to help shut down this Genji. He's put under pressure. Voil does manage to get away for now, but it's also Hypnot taking a lot of damage as well. They're finding the kills, but they're all still very low. We could easily see Envision turn this around, but now it's just a question of being able to execute on it, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. No Clout picking Envision apart.
And as Jaru goes down with the blade available, Crimzo will fall too. No real time stalled on this point. We'll look forward to seeing No Clout get this one really quick and have a lot of ultimates on top of it. Comparing Insomniac to Fire, having that extra support ult in the sound barrier could be enough to snowball at the very least a few ticks, if not the whole point.
Coming on to this next fight, Envision need to get something going here. They just simply can't have it happen again where they just lose out on Assault. But putting a lot of pressure out onto Hypnot already. Dogman still getting that first pick, showing exactly why No Clout wanted him in this lineup. They are already creating such a ruckus now as Voil brings out the blade as well. He's forced off the point. Buds has only found one kill, and I don't know if we'll ever see Envision get a foothold again.
As one tick is already achieved here for the offensive side of No Clout, looking to get more. Voil still doing a lot of work on the Genji himself. However, it's going to be Hawk claiming a kill off of the self-destruct onto iShiny. The return blade from Jaru. Can it be the thing to save the seam, as it will seemingly not be the case? Hypnot finds him in the end with the Primal Rage. Dogman gets another kill of his own, and even though the stall tactics are coming through, it is going to be 2 ticks achieved on the offensive side of No Clout. iShiny, though, finds 1 kill out to Hypnot, but the Primal Rage from him. Sound Barrier now finally available for Fire, means that the offensive side will be pushed away. Jaru coming back with the Doomfist. He's going to claim a kill, and finally Envision do manage to stabilize.
Jaru swapping back though. Fire going to an Ana. And it looks like as Envision does stabilize, they still give up 2 ticks. 67.4% stolen away by No Clout off of their first push. Tons of time left on the clock to get just one more. And if Dogman is going to be as consistent as he's been and getting these lethal right clicks to get these first kills for No Clout, then they could easily get this.
We'll see iShiny with Jaru just look for this targets. Unfortunately for them, they can't find anything. At the very least, Sound Barrier will be popped relatively early here from the other side for No Clout. They do have the Transcendence, but Buds will find a kill onto Hypnot. And with Voil even being shut down with the Bionade, it's gonna be huge, as we will see Envision win out on this team fight once again.
On top of that, Dogman pulled out his Transcendence in that last fight, wasn't able to save Hypnot, so unfortunately for them, the ultimate goes without much effect. And now No Clout looking to re-engage, and we've seen a lot of aggression coming from Envision just to try to take the fight to them, always trying to, you know, set the pace a little bit as they dive between each other. And now jumping onto the point, we already see Sugar Free in the back line. Fire gonna be shutting him down with Crimzo.
And with the 6v5, it's gonna be looking very likely that No Clout is gonna look to regroup, however, already being punished. Those last few staggered kills are gonna lay things that much further, and so much in terms of those resources are already available here for Envision. 5 ultimates, even Crimzo potentially getting his Transcendence going into the next team fight. He's gonna be able to charge it up quite a bit with a bit of healing onto the likes of iShiny. But the Nano Boosted Blade could very well be the thing to stop the next push here for Envision.
Certainly, as Dogman doesn't have his Transcendence, that could be what they look for. They could still find kills in a Transcendence sometimes as well if the heal or the health pool isn't as high as it should be in that scenario. But Envision need to make sure that they're spacing their ultimates out well here. They don't want to commit too much to this next fight because ultimately, I mean, No Clout doesn't have a lot of options. So you want to make sure that you can hold for the long run. Buds throwing out a pulse bomb that doesn't have value is going to die as well. So here's the Nano Blade to try to make it happen.
But Jaro's gonna be able to find the D-suit, another kill onto Voil before he goes down himself. And as iShiny is gonna be using that Primal Rage, it will be overall a 2 for 2, I believe. Sugar Free still alive, will potentially be taken down in the end by those tanks. We're looking to contest, but overall, quite a bit committed. It will only buy time here for Envision Esports. And on the other side, we'll see No Clout all of a sudden have the ultimate advantage looking into this next team fight.
So where we saw in EU pulse bombs, you know, dictating fights oftentimes, it's not the case as much in NA from what we've seen so far. Soundberry committed now. As Insomniac pulls that one out, we'll get most of his team, but not all. Dogman having the Transcendence here might be all that they need as Fire taking pressure from Dogman from across. Crimzo is going to lose his, and now it's going to be healing coming out from Dogman as well. They're engaging hard, and Foil with the blade will take Jaru out.
But he's gonna drop really low. Sugar Free finds a kill with a pulse bomb as Bud's coming back from spawn alongside McGravy. Will look to still retaliate, still contesting the point. 91.8% achieved. Sugar Free gets another kill though. They just need a little bit more to close this one out. Even Doomfist doesn't play. Crimzo going onto the Sombra, but nobody on the point here for No Clout means that it wasn't enough time for the defensive side to regroup. And now with the Nano Boost onto iShiny, it looks like they should eventually get a good defensive hold. Even Voil getting hit by the Bionade, even though he gets to take down Fire, will be falling. And in the end, once more, Envision will win it out with 55 seconds left on the clock here for No Clout.
Well, they had a quick hiccup right after their, you know, first hold went awry. Ever since then, this has been an entirely different Envision. They're, you know, committing very aggressively. Everything they do it decisively. And they're actually pulling it off quite well. They don't have a lot of options in this fight, but if they can avoid the pressure of the pulse bomb and not lose out, you know, 1 or 2 people in this fight, they could actually do this, especially as they pick off Dogman. He's going to be on a long walk back. Hypnot falls as well. And even though Shiny goes down, he buys them time now.
And that's very valuable right here, as Jaru even managing to find a late kill onto Sugar Free. It's going to make things that much more difficult, and this is going to be a mad dash coming out of No Clout just to get on set objective 2, contest, push it into overtime, look to potentially get things done. Sugar Free make a swap to the Widowmaker, looking to catch the opposition off guard, but it's going to be Jaru claiming the first kill. Self-destruct used will prompt the self-destruct out of the side of Hawk, but they will be pushed off of the point. For now, however, Hypnot will manage to still be alive for a while. Transcendence is going to come out from Dogman, looking to keep his teammates safe, but with the Bionade finally connecting on quite a few members, it's gonna be Jaru with the blade, looking to get the kills. He will find one onto Hawk, and eventually it should be Envision winning this one out, making this hold work on the second point.
Stopping a No Clout team that I think we'll see in the lower bracket, depending on who they match up against, actually be quite emboldened by these 2 pickups. I think they are a slightly stronger team right now, how they stand, but still Envision looking a lot better. Certainly have shored up some of the issues that they've had on Assault. Now, yes, this is just one instance, one case where they were able to make the full hold on the second point, but we'll have to see if that does wind up being the case going further. And as we do see them taking on other opposition, if they do wind up winning this matchup, they are going to have to, take on Fractal Esports, who did just beat out Renegades, the team that they were disappointed by, just yesterday. So it's going to be interesting matchups going forward for them if they do wind up taking this, to see if they can continue this ability with Assault maps, which has been really just kind of their bane throughout. But now as we see them going for the attack, only 92% roughly that they need to capture. Brunch, what do you think their chances are here?
Looking pretty good, but on the other side, having that potential counter dive, we'll see whether or not they can really capitalize off of the fact that they did make the stop there in the end onto the second point. Chances looking pretty good, but we've seen how Envision struggled in the past, even when it comes to those first points. So I don't think it's over just yet, but definitely overall, Envision looking like a much better team on this Assault map.
So starting off, I'm looking at Jaru and Buds to try to really show up, because Buds has been pretty consistent in the backline finding kills, but the pulse bombs haven't been as consistent. We haven't seen as many sticks as what we saw in EU from guys like Sharp, Poppy Fresh, guys like that were insane, even Craggy as well. So I'm looking for a little bit more efficiency out of the ults that they use, particularly in the pulse bomb department, especially from a team like Envision, who needs to be able to find ways to beat out, what is looking like the best team right now, Fusion University, where off of Who Are You and everything, they look fantastic. But already we see the first pick onto Voil. They dove right in on top of the Soldier, taking both DPS out to start the fight. Now there's not as much pressure that they have to deal with. They should easily be able to clean this one up.
And even though Jar drops pretty low, it doesn't matter. He will manage to stay alive with the rest of his team, claiming that second tick, soon enough the third, and already looking poised to potentially close this one out pretty early. And we'll be building up a lot of those ultimates on the other side. We'll see Voil make the swap himself to the Genji, but you gotta ask yourself whether or not it's too late at this point, as we will see Hypnot dive right in with the rest of his team, looking for Buds right now, as they will contest onto the point. Remember, they only need to get 91.9%. Hypnot, though, finds the first kill onto iShiny. McGravy looking to answer, gets one of his own. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and as Voil will get the D-suit, eventually it will be him coming out big time on that Genji and stabilizing his team here on the second point.
They're coming back into this next fight, and this will likely be a bloodbath, because on both sides we see a lot of options coming up. Insomniac and Dogman will both have their ultimates, so if they can get aggressive and find an early kill on Dogman, they might have an opportunity to go with that and maybe just make sure that Transcendence doesn't have much value. But it's going to be tough, as Dogman's going to be able to get that probably before they're even able to get there.
Ooh, Pulse Bomb almost taking there. Sugar Free not quite finding the target, but overall, it is still this lineup of Envision potentially in big trouble, as Transcendence will be a sound barrier as well. And it is going to be McGravy coming out on top with a big self-destruct, getting 2 kills off of it, but they need to still make this one work, as they're looking for more. It will be Dogman coming back in with the Transcendence, keeping everybody safe, stalling things around. Ajar waiting patiently with the blade, will be able to get the D-suit and the kill onto Hawk. We'll be looking for more, but the return blade out of Voil will be shut down. iShiny gets that kill in the end. However, no tech still achieved. Good defensive hold potentially available here for the side of No Clout, stalling with those respawns. Now Pulse Bomb, though, is gonna claim a kill onto Insomniac and the D-suit onto Hawk, and maybe they can finally start making this work, as Envision might just close it out right here, right now.
Hypnot flies off the point, gives control over to Envision, and then still goes down. And they're going to come back on. Not too much ability to stall here, as they all dive on at the same time. They're looking for kills. They'll find one in Crimzo. Need to try to steal out the other support kill to be able to make this work, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Buds is just so accurate on the Tracer right now, ripping targets down time and time again, as Insomniac will fall as well. We'll see the Pulse Bomb come out, but they don't even need it. Envision taking an Assault map decisively, I think perhaps for the first time.
And this is a good thing for them, considering the fact that they're gonna be up against Fractal Esports coming up next, who has been definitely showing up big time tonight. It's gonna be a very close matchup. You definitely don't want to miss out on that one, as it will have a break.